A pleasant day, students. I, Andrian, the president of our school's mathematics club organization, together with the other officers, namely Michelle, the vice president, Alessandra, the secretary, LJ, the treasurer, and Mario, the auditor, will guide you in understanding our lesson for today entitled Determining Conic Sections and its Equations in Standard Form. Are you ready? If yes, then let's now start learning. You should have noticed that there are various kinds of shape or bends occurring in nature. See if you can identify some of these.
Can you tell me which shape is this? This is a circle. Can you tell me what's the shape of the ice cream is? Is it a circle? No, right? It is similar to circle, but it is elongated towards the side. It's ellipse.
Let's see if you can tell me the next one. Can you tell me what shape is this? It is a parabola.
There is another curve that we can see and it looks like this. It has two curves on the other side of the axis and it is called a hyperbola. All these curves that you saw have just one thing in common. Can you guess what that is? They all come under the common category called conics.
So what does exactly conics mean? Conic stands for conic section. A conic section is a curve obtained as the intersection of the surface of a cone with plane. The three types of conic sections are the hyperbola, parabola, and ellipse. The circle is a type of ellipse and is sometimes considered to be the fourth type of conic section. Here are the parts of the circular cones. The first part of our circular cone is generator. And the intersection of the two generator is called vertex. And if mag-draw ako ng vertical line na dadaan sa vertex, it is called the axis. Let's move on to our cutting plane. As you notice, the cutting plane is perpendicular to the axis. The intersection that's been made is a circle. And if we slightly slant the cutting plane in our circular cone, it will generate an ellipse. If you notice, the cutting plane is parallel to the generator, which makes a curve that is called a parabola. Lastly, if we cut our right circular cone vertically, the intersection that will be made is hyperbola.
So let's define what is a circle. Ano nga ba ang circle? Circle is a closed plane surface bounded by a curve. A circle consists of all points on a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point called the center. I will show you how to find the equation of a circle in standard form. Given a circle with radius r and center which has the coordinates h, k and let P, which has the coordinates of h, y, be any point on the circle, then by definition, x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared is equals to r squared is the equation of a circle with center which has the coordinates of h, k and radius r. Which the standard equation of the circle is derived from the distance formula where d is equals to square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 all squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all squared. So, let's have an example. Number 1. Center is at C which has the coordinates of 0, 0 and radius is 5. First, identify h and k, which is h is equals to 0, k is equals to 0, and r is equals to 5. Let's use the formula x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared is equals to r squared. Substitute the values.
Next, we'll define what is parabola. Parabola can be defined as the set of all points such that the distance from a point on the parabola to a focus point is the same as the distance from the same point on the parabola to a fixed line called the directrix. The equation of parabola in standard form. There are two possible parabola equations can be formed. Number 1 opens to the right. Number 2 opens to the left. There are two parabola that opens downward and upward. If the value of p greater than to 0, that means our parabola opens. Let's have an example.
Next, we'll define what's an ellipse. An ellipse is formed when a cone is intersected by a plane at an angle with respect to its base. It has two focal points. The sum of the two distances to the focal point for all the points on curve is always constant. Like the graphs of other equations, the graph of an ellipse can be translated. Example number 1. First, we identify the center, h, k. The center is halfway between the vertices, -2, -8. And -2, 2. Next, we find a squared. The length of the major axis, 2a, is bounded by the vertices. We solve a by finding the distance between the y-coordinates of the vertices. Now we find c squared. Next, we solve for b squared using the equation. Finally, we substitute the values found for h, k, a squared, and b squared into the standard form equation for an ellipse.
Let's move on to the hyperbola. A hyperbola is a set of all coplanar The equation can be put in standard form. Comparing to the general standard equation, we see that a equals square root of 4 equals 2 and b square root of 1 equals 1. To sketch the graph, we plot the vertices of the construction rectangle. The asymptotes are drawn through the diagonals of the rectangle and the vertices plotted. Then we sketch in the hyperbola rounded at the vertices and the approaching the asymptotes.